Hey, 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 yeah, hey, what a time to be alive. I left them for dead, now I'm living right. No new friends, no new advice. That was high then, but we got bigger heights. We got bigger fish to fry. Bet on myself, then I roll the dice. Man, it ain't a gamble if you know you nice.
Welcome to Dollar and a Dream Podcast. I'm your host, Ara Amen, the #1 podcast in Dallas. And today our special guest is Mikey. Can you give Mikey B, the comic, right?
Yes,
Okay.
or just Mikey B.
Mikey B, man.
Yeah, easier than saying my last name, but yeah, Mikey B.
What's your last name?
Benavides.
Benavides.
Yeah,
Awesome.
like you could get it easy, but I mean, hosts bringing me up on stage, other people are Benavides, Bienvenidos, but I'm just like, it's Mikey B. It's just easier.
Awesome, man. Well,
Yeah.
Thank you for coming on.
Thanks for having me, dude.
Yeah, of course, man. Dude, so what's funny is I saw you at Hyenas Comedy Club. Maybe I think it might have been like 2020, end of 2020, maybe beginning of 2021. And I mean, you were hilarious. You were like hilarious.
Was it like a weekend show, or was it like a Thursday night, or what?
It was a Thursday night.
Thursday, okay.
It was a Thursday night, and then I mean, I just remembered you, right? You were very memorable, and then
Thank you.
Yeah, of course, man.
Yeah.
And then I came back. It was like later in 2021.
Mm-hmm.
So the first time I came with a girl. So it was just like a date night type thing, and I was also like just starting to date her, so I didn't know how hard to laugh.
Yeah.
And then
Because I do some pretty dirty shit. If you
Yeah.
came to like a Thursday or even a night where I'm doing like 20 plus minutes.
yeah,
Like if I'm doing like 10, I try not to go too hard on anything. Plus, I can't really do any of the stories that I do.
uh-huh.
But if you saw me on one of those nights, I probably said some shit. She was like, "Fuck you!" Like, why are you laughing at that?
No,
Yeah.
it was she was cool, but okay, so yeah, that was my first interaction with you, and then I came back with the boys, maybe like 6 months later, and dude, we were like hollering, and it was a Thursday night, and we were like dying, like loud, obnoxious, like literally like hyenas.
Yeah.
And we were
That's
on
the point. Yeah, fuck
yeah,
yeah.
no, it was fucking hilarious. And we're on like the right side, and it was like just 3 of us, right, or 3 or 4 of us, and we're like all dying. And then on the like left side, it was like silent because it was like a group of like ladies.
I kind of remember. Yeah, I think I remember that night because sometimes it always seems to be from my perspective, like stage right. That's usually a lot of times like this side will be dying, like applause breaks, and this side they're just kind of like chuckling a little or looking like like they're there with like people that they work with. I just said like 100 times. Anyways, but they'll be there with people they work with, and they are afraid to laugh. You know, they're like, this is too inappropriate for me. I'm up there talking about coming or whatever the fuck. But, I mean, it's surprising because it used to be like that. But a lot of times, especially on the road, I'll do really dirty sets like that. And I'll have women come up to me after the show. Like, I have that sticker I just gave you of an alien, just so you guys know. It says, "We come in peace," and the cum, like, is dripping, and it glows in the dark. But I'll pitch it from the stage, and I'll have lines of women after the show come up, and they'll all be like, "I want that cum, Mikey B. Where's that cum at? Give me that cum." And I'm like, a couple months ago, I was in Oklahoma City at Bricktown, this comedy club, really nice comedy club. And where I set up my merch was right outside the manager's office. And women and men, but a lot of women just kept coming up talking about cum. They're like, "Where's that cum at? Show it to me, Mikey. Let me see your cum." And like trying to coach me into coming. I'm like, I'm dying laughing. The manager comes out of her office. She's like, "What the fuck is going on out here?"
Yeah.
And they're like, "We're trying to get him to come." And she's like, and she just didn't know what to say. She went back in her office and closed the door. But it was hilarious. Afterwards, she goes, "That was pretty funny, but I just didn't want to be involved in that conversation."
That's funny, dude.
But, yeah.
Oh man, that's freaking hilarious.
My point is I just want to have fun. I just want everybody there to have fun.
Yeah.
I don't want you to think about your politics, your bullshit, or any of the other stuff that bothers you all day long, the news, whatever. I'll talk about that stuff a little bit, but it's more of like a goofy perspective. I just want to have fun, and I want everyone else to have fun. Just forget about the bullshit and everything else for a little bit and just enjoy it.
You did such a good job of that too. So okay, like it was funny because like you said, right, one side's like hollering, and then one side's either like scared to laugh or like just upset for no reason.
Yeah, I've walked quite a few people in my time.
Yeah,
I have.
But yeah, in those moments, man, we literally like forgot everything and we're just hollering. And then yeah, that night was you even called us out. You're like, "Hey, like I'm getting a lot of love from this section. These people look like they're pissed off." And it was just so because you called them out, and then they were like, it was just hilarious.
I think it's weird when I see comics in those conversations or those situations, and they don't like you got to acknowledge what's going on in the room because it's like
Yeah.
it feels like a rehearsed act if you don't. To me, it does at least. So I'm like, what's up with y'all? What's the problem? What's going on here?
Yeah. But and then that was like I think maybe 2021, and then I didn't see you for a while, but then I saw you again, and you had just gotten back to comedy, I think. So was there a break where you had maybe health issues?
Last year, but I mean, I only took like 2-3 months off, if that. I had 2 heart attacks, and then I had surgery. I had heart surgery, and I canceled my whole schedule. Had all this shit planned. And then that happened. When that happened, I canceled everything. I thought I was going to be down for like 6 months or a long time. But after a couple weeks of being home, I was like, fuck this. It's just talking. I want to go talk to people. And I immediately, within like 2 weeks of being home, I was back on stage. I was back at the Improv. I got booked on a show there last minute. And I just started filling my schedule up. I was like, fuck this. I ain't going to sit at home.
Yeah.
Well, I don't feel good. So what? I don't give a shit. I
Yeah.
feel good when I'm on stage. So let's get some of that.
That's awesome, man. Because I remember that was the third and last time I saw you, and you like came back with a vengeance. It was really cool.
Oh, yeah.
It was really, really cool.
Thanks,
to see,
man.
Yeah, because you were up there for, it was like 20 minutes.
Yeah.
It was one
Those
of your
Thursday
longer
shows, I
ones.
usually do like 25 to 30. They tell me 25. I end up doing 30. They get a little mad, but
No,
it
you
goes
went
well.
over because you were you did your like set, and then you had a whole bunch of other stuff on top of it that you were like thinking about. I can't remember everything in detail, but I remember it was cool to see, man, that you like you kind of talked about your what you went through, and then in a joking way.
Yeah.
So it's so
I got
funny.
a closing like 8 to 10 minutes on that stuff. I don't always do it on every show, but I usually close with at least like 5 minutes of the hospital, like the story, what happened to me.
Yeah.
But I'm getting ready to do my first special album. I don't know what to call it because I'm not that big yet, so I feel weird calling it a special, but I'm going to film it early next year. I think in March. We're doing it in Oklahoma City, and I'm going to use a lot of that material that you probably saw and a lot of all the hospital stuff. And then I'm just going to not really do that material so much. I mean, if nobody sees the special, then I'll keep doing it because I'm like, who fuck, nobody saw it, why waste the material? But I'm planning on putting all that stuff to bed because I have more material. I have at least, besides that 20 to 30 minutes, I have at least another 45 of good polished stuff, and then other stuff that's being worked on.
How do you know to shelf something and how to like go to new material?
Would I feel like it?
Yeah.
I don't know. Sometimes I've had bits that would do well when I would first start telling them, and then they don't do as well anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, let me just put it aside for a minute and come back to it. And a lot of that stuff ends up getting better because, I mean, as you get better, then you're like, oh, maybe it needs to be paired with this joke, or maybe I need to say it this way, or maybe I just take a couple lines from that, and that's all that was really in there, and I put it somewhere else. So it's I mean, it's really it's feeling like jazz or something, dude. I don't know.
Yeah.
Not saying like an artist like that or whatever, but sometimes I'm just like, I don't like telling this joke anymore. I'm fucking tired of it. It's not working anymore, or I feel tired of saying it.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean,
You get bored with it.
yeah.
No, I love that because I kind of like run this podcast the same way. It's like whatever I want, whenever I want, whoever I want to talk to. Because I kind of consulted a few people when I kind of started doing this, like people I like, like have mentors or like care about their opinion. And a lot of people are like, oh, you gotta have structure, you gotta do this, you gotta do this. And I was like, bro, I don't want to do any of that. I'm not gonna do that.
Everything I've ever tried to do the way other people do it or the way people hasn't worked for me.
Mm-hmm.
So I just had to realize, like, I'll listen to people's advice, especially in comedy. You have to realize, and anything really, when people are giving you advice, they're giving you advice from like their opinion or like
their benefit,
from their experiences. Even like it's not even they're trying to benefit themselves. Like in their experience, you got to have structure. You got to do this. You got to do that. I mean, yeah, you can do it that way, but not really. You don't have to. I mean, do what feels good, and if it feels good to you, it'll play out in whatever you're doing. And I feel like that attracts more people to want to see what you're doing or be involved if you're enjoying yourself, because they're like,
yeah,
well, that's fun.
Yeah, it's kind of like people are going to give you the advice to the best of their abilities. So
Yeah.
if they like, if you come to me advice for telling you a joke and I'm just going to be like, oh, you got to do this, but I don't freaking do this professionally. Like,
You'd be surprised people after a show will come up and say shit like that.
really?
Yeah,
What do
and
they
a lot of
say?
time, it depends on the mood or whatever. I mean, a lot of times I'll be like, oh yeah, it's really good. I'm gonna do that. fucking whatever. I'm not. Or sometimes I'll be like, oh yeah, did you waste the last 9.5 years ruining relationships with close friends and family out every night doing this? And this is the experience you're giving me? That's the advice you're telling me? Is that what it is? Oh, okay. I'm like, hey, it's hard to be 100% on anything. Did you like the rest of my act?
Yeah.
And they'll be like, yeah. I'm like, all right, well, fucking forget the one you didn't then. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah.
Or don't like me at all. Whatever. I had a lady. I've had people. I seem like when I get new fans after a show, they're like either they're like, he's whatever, or they love me. Because I've had people come up and start bitching about the show, or I had a lady recently, her and her boyfriend were complaining about the headliner. I guess he picked on them, or they said something stupid, whatever. And I'm just like, I'm like, okay, why he doesn't work for me. What are you fucking,
Yeah.
I'm just a middle act. I'm just an opener. Like, fuck off. I don't care. And they just keep on and on. And this lady that was waiting for her to move, because they bought stickers from me and merch after a show. And this lady finally, she goes, ugh, she came up and booty bumped this bitch out of the way. She goes, stop complaining, shut the fuck up, and started yelling at her. She goes, he doesn't give a shit what you have to say. Then he looks at, and the other's like, can you believe this lady? I was like, yeah, I do. She's right. I don't really care. I don't care if you have a problem with someone else. Fuck off.
Yeah.
Like, I'm glad you like me, but like, what is this?
They want their opinions to be heard.
Yeah. You got
Literally.
Facebook? Go post about it on Facebook. I'm not here. I'm not the chairman of the board here, bitch. I'm fucking trying to get gas money so I can drive back home after this gig. You want to buy something or not?
Yeah.
This lady literally booty bumped her, and she goes, "Fuck off, get out of here."
That's
and I was like,
freaking
"Thank you, that
hilarious.
was awesome." She goes, "No, I could see on your face you didn't like it."
That's hilarious. Yeah, it's so funny to be in like a position to where you're like doing art, you're doing your comedy, or you're doing whatever, and then because when I started doing this podcast, everyone had opinions came out of nowhere,
Oh yeah,
and it's like, oh, okay, cool, man, thank you for. Where was this one before? Like,
yeah,
it's so funny, but I just take it in and smile, right?
yeah. I mean, people see you doing something, and sometimes I take their opinion as they're mad at themselves because they're not doing anything. I mean,
Exactly.
the fact doing comedy, I feel fortunate just knowing what I want to do and what I'm supposed to be doing with my life. And I feel like a lot of people don't find that, so sometimes I just direct. The best is YouTube comments. Like I posted from my podcast, the Open Mic Podcast. Y'all check it out, MIKE, 20,000 followers. Come see me.
Woo.
But it's crime and comedy, so we just have a fun time. But we were talking about, there was this conspiracy about Ben Franklin being a serial killer or being Jack the Ripper, because they found all these body parts in his house from London or whatever. And then joking around, we started saying that he was a serial killer, or he was Jack the Ripper. It was Ben Franklin. And then everybody got so mad at us online. And instead of arguing with people, because that's pointless and they're just dragging you down, usually my go-to comment is "suck it, nerd" or something like whatever. Thanks for stimulating my algorithm. I hope you argue. I want y'all to argue in here.
Right.
Go ahead, please.
Yeah, that's so funny. It's just the classic like Xbox Live comeback.
Yeah, yeah.
Suck it, nerd.
Yeah, that's why I'm just like, whatever, dumb. I don't care. I have people mad at me right now on Instagram because I said the Earth was flat. I follow a bunch of space stuff. I got like a fascination with sci-fi.
Yeah.
And there was an astronaut showing the Earth from like up on a satellite he was working on. And just as a joke, I said, lies. Nah, we all know the Earth is flat. And there's all these people think I'm being serious, and they're talking shit to me, and they're like, oh, whatever, you don't have any followers or whatever. And I'm like, thanks for stimulating my algorithm. You looking at my profile is boosting me, so
Yeah.
thank you. And then but I've actually gained like 40 followers from it in the last week or so, which is
saying the Earth
hilarious.
flat?
Do what?
You're
Yeah.
saying that. Dude,
But because people are arguing with me, and I'm like,
Yeah.
whatever, suck it, nerd. And people are like, this guy's funny.
that's hilarious.
Yeah.
That's smart. That's smart. So how'd you get into comedy, man?
It's something I always wanted to do. For me, I mean, everybody's different. I dabbled in entertainment a little bit back in like 2013-ish, 2012, 2014. I managed a couple rappers. And, man, I wanted to do it since I was like 4 years old. And I went through a
You
bad
want to do
breakup.
comedy since you want to do since you were 4?
Dude, since I was a child, I wanted to play in the MLB or be a real professional comedian. So I want to be professional baseball or comedian, and I feel like I'm still closer to baseball, but I'm gonna keep trying. You know? But I went through a bad breakup, and I was already like 32 years old, and I started thinking like I lost a bunch of weight. I lost like 180 pounds. I was diabetic. I got off my medication. I was working out, and I started thinking like, what do I want to do with myself? Because I've started t-shirt and hat companies. I've tried all these like, entrepreneurial shit. Started all kinds of stuff. But I was like, what do I want to be doing? And the answer was comedy. So I took a couple weeks and wrote jokes. They were all trash. Don't use them anymore. But I went out to an open mic, bombed really hard at about 1:55 a.m. And I was like, I want to do this again, though. So I just kept doing it. And one thing you realize, nobody knows what's going on. We're all just making it up and acting like we do. So I was like, I think I can scam my way through this. If I could weasel my way up to the top or somewhere where I can make a living from it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who, like, at 4 years old, what was it that, like, captured you?
It was Richard Pryor. It was one of his specials. My brother liked comedy, and like so did my family. They liked funny stuff. So it was like that. Eddie Murphy, Delirious, and Raw, both of those.
Classics.
And then the one I remember the most was, it's dumb, but it was Jim Carrey. He did that old special where he had the like color block T-shirt. It was like 4 different colors, and he was doing impressions and just, it was a ridiculous thing. And I remember asking my brother, I was like 4 or 5, I was like, do you think he makes a lot of money from that? And he goes, a fuckload of money. And I was like, you could just do that? And he's like, yeah. And I was like, well, that's what I want to do.
That's crazy.
And I've always thought of like, you know, when you're younger, a teenager, and your friend gets in trouble or fucks up or something.
Yeah.
I've always tried to write bits in my mind to say when we're all around to make everybody laugh at them. I've always kind of written bits and to say to people. And then I realized like it's just differentiating what's funny on stage and what's funny to your friends.
Yeah, it's like storytelling also.
Yeah, which I've really gotten into in the last, I'd say, couple of years since COVID. I think doing a podcast helped me with storytelling because it's a little scary at first for a comedian if you're doing like, you know, shorter jokes or silly things. I have a bunch of ridiculous stories of shit that's happened to me, but starting a podcast helped me get better with that long form. Because a lot of times when you're in a story, they're not laughing, they're listening to your setup. But at one point I realized like, oh, they're quiet, not because they're hating it, because they're hanging on they want to know what's coming next. They want to hear what's going on. And that was a cool thing. So I've really got into mixing in like the dumb little short jokes and then also doing some stories in my set.
Yeah, because whenever you came back, that third time I saw you and you talked about your heart attack experience, that was a like really good story.
Yeah,
like
thanks,
like
man.
that like it was that's what I remembered.
died for that story.
Literally, yeah. No.
It was funny. I cut this out from doing it, but right after I got out of the hospital, I was like, man, I want to drive the car. I want a Dodge Challenger. You know, I was like, I'm gonna go trade my car in, and I like the car I had, but I've just always wanted one. And I went, and the dealer, I test drove one, and he came back with this ridiculous like monthly payment, and I was like, nah, I'm good. And he said there's nothing he could do, and I was like, all right, well, I'm gonna go then. And he goes, oh, come on, Mike, you only live once. And I was like, let me tell you a story real quick. This is actually the second time I'm living. So.
That's hilarious. When was the first time you got on stage?
2015. Don't remember the exact date. It was earlier in that year, like March, April, May, somewhere in there. And it was at the old Dallas Comedy House.
What was your, like, did you have everything planned out? You had, like, how long did you write that bit? Like, what was that, like,
yeah, I had a couple of bits that I wanted to do. I tried to do what I've always loved in stand-up before I was doing it was when people would do a callback, you know? Like,
yeah. I know
they'd bring something back from the beginning of their set. And I tried to write something like that. And it didn't go over at all. It was dumb.
Do you want to tell it? Could you tell it?
I don't even remember the whole bit. It was fucking stupid. It was like I started the show with like, does anybody know how to get lube out of a towel? Whatever. And at the end, it was like, what was it? I was like, some girls will only try to date gay guys because they want to flip them like pancakes and bring them back to their team, you know? And I was like, so I've been pretending to be gay. But I haven't gotten any pussy. All I've gotten is a new wardrobe, a better haircut, and a sore ass. I was like, so do y'all know how to get lube out of a towel? Or it was something like that. Yeah. It was, I don't know, it was like that. But
that's funny though. I love hearing like the first like a comedian's like first jokes.
I watch old. I mean, even from like 2 or 3 years ago, I'll watch a set that I did, and it makes my stomach turn. Like literally, makes me feel sick. And I mean, that's the point though. I think you should be constantly trying to get better because even. I've seen Louis C.K. say it, Dave Chappelle. You never know everything in comedy. You're never going to be like finished learning. Mm-hmm. So I feel like you should always be striving to get better or to just doing at least one of the little things you do better as time goes.
Do you watch yourself a lot? Do you rewatch your sets? A lot?
I do now. I used to not. I always record my audio, and I never listen back unless there was something like a new joke or something I riffed on stage to be like, oh, how'd I say that? And I'll skim through that. But I do a little bit more now, but it's not just watching it. It's because I'll go through my set and cut out clips to post on social media, stuff like that, which I wish I was doing that sooner because it makes you better because I'm like, oh, I hate when I do that, or, oh, that was really good. I need to do that again, or whatever. It just I feel like it helps you crack down to what you want to be.
Yeah. Who's one of your who do you look up to as like a comedian, or like who do you think is like a great?
Well, I mean, Chappelle is comedy god. I mean, I've always been a huge fan of Chappelle and Louis C.K. I love Shane Gillis.
Yeah, Shane
He's
Gillis
hilarious.
Is good.
Sam Morril is another really funny one. There's a lot of really funny ones out there. Who's the other one I just had in my mind?
I'm a big fan of Andrew Schultz.
I like Andrew Schultz. I just shared one of his stories today.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
I like Andrew Schultz. There's who's I gonna say? Fuck, I don't know, man. I've worked with a lot of bigger people, and a lot of them are great. Like people you might not have heard of yet, but I think they're like rising fast. Like Paul Verzi. I don't know if you ever seen him.
He's local, right?
No, he lives in New York.
Okay.
But he's like, he has a podcast with Bill Burr, and he's hilarious. I've worked with him a few times. Joey Diaz is another, like,
Joey Diaz.
I love Joey Diaz, and I've had people like compare me, and I don't want to be compared. Like,
That's a great comparison.
It may, on the inside it made me feel good, but I was like, I can't ever accept that. I'm like, no, it's not possible for me. But I do love Joey Diaz. I feel like I've learned a lot from him, just like watching him and listening, because I've started leaning into what I am instead of trying to make myself look like a good guy or whatever, And I feel like that's when I really took a turn in my comedy and started like that fire that you're talking about. I don't know. I just like my first album or special that I'm doing next year. I'm kicking around names, but I think the name is going to be Honorable Scumbag because I feel like that sums me up in the shortest way. Yeah. It's perfect. I don't really have a joke for it, but I think it's perfect to just a blanket statement to throw over my whole set that I'm planning for it. But yeah, Joey Diaz, he's a beast, and he made me realize, like, fuck everybody else. Fuck them.
Cocksuckers.
Yeah. Like Bernie Mac used to say, fuck them.
Yeah.
That's what you got to say sometimes.
I think Joey
man.
Diaz has a book.
Yeah, I think he did just put out a book.
It's called, it's one of the things he says. It's like Marvelous something. He's like, that's marvelous. Or I freaking love Joey Diaz. I went to his show couple of years ago at what's the theater in Dallas called?
Was it Majestic or
the Majestic?
Okay.
And that was the hardest I've ever laughed at like a theater show.
Yeah.
Because at theater shows it's kind of like it's a little different than more of in the club shows.
Yeah. It's more intimate in the club and the theater. You got to have your timing. Like you got to make sure you pause long enough so the people in the back can get it and all that.
But I was like dying. And I that was one of the hardest I've ever laughed at. That was, I think, the hardest I've ever laughed at like a big name person that I've went and saw. Man,
a lot of times you get let down with bigger names, right? Like the huge names. Yeah, I mean, everybody hopes to not be that, but also I kind of want to be that. I don't want to let people down. I just want the money and the fame. I still want people to come out of the show being like, fuck yeah, that's what I wanted from this.
Yeah. Who was someone that you, like, interacted with that you like put, I don't want to say on a pedestal, but you were like, man, this guy's like pretty cool, and then it didn't go how you thought? Or if you don't want to tell that story.
No, I mean, Pauly Shore was kind of a dick. He actually apologized to me the next day, so I was like, all right, that's cool.
Or maybe a situation where it went well.
I mean, there's more of went wells than others, because the thing is, to me, like all the funniest ones, they don't really get sour or be a dick. They usually end up being really fucking nice because they're not worried. They don't have the insecurity of like some of the unfunny ones.
Gotcha.
Not to name anybody else, but like Tim Meadows, I opened for him last summer, I think, or something like that. And he was very nice, very cool. He was actually very funny on stage. A lot of people thought he was going to be like not that good, because he comes from SNL. Doesn't really have a stand-up history. But he was hilarious on stage, great stories, and it was just weird, just like seeing Tim Meadows on that Dewey Cox. You seen that movie? The Walk Hard movie, John C. Reilly.
I know about it, but I'm not a big movie person.
He's in the band, and he keeps coming up with the situation. He's getting him to do different drugs, and then he argues with him. He goes, "And you never paid for drugs, not once." he's just a goofy guy. But then in the green room, he's sitting there like with his legs crossed, drinking wine, eating like charcuterie. But then he's funny on stage. But after the weekend was over, the last night, we talked for a couple hours in the green room. Super cool, super nice guy. Tim Dillon was like that. He was really cool, very funny.
Tim Dillon's hilarious.
Yeah, dude. I got the
Dillon's
pleasure
hilarious.
of opening for him. He's the reason
No
I started
way.
a podcast. He yelled at me
Really?
in the green room. He was like, I got him like right before COVID when he was like really starting to burst, you know?
Yeah.
And he was on his phone like making deals the whole time, which no matter the headliner if I'm opening for, I'm not going to bug them or whatever. I kind of read the room. If they're not into it, I just kind of leave them alone. I don't stay in the green room much. I don't sit there and do a lot of newer comics or dumber comics. Will sit there and ask questions like, how'd you get into comedy or whatever, which, I mean, to a bigger headliner, he gets this in every city from another open micer. He gets all like, stop. He just wants to be a person. He doesn't want you to interview him. We're doing a show together, you know? But we were sitting in the green room and he goes, what's your podcast? And I was like, I don't have one. And he's like, what are you, fucking stupid? You need to have a podcast. That's how it works now in comedy. You don't get on the Tonight Show and get famous. You have a podcast, you build a following, and then you can sell seats and you can write your own ticket anywhere. People, it'll go from you begging to get booked, from them begging you to come to their club and headline a weekend, and you can finally make some money. And it clicked for me, and I was like, oh shit, that makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
And that was like 3 months before COVID shut down. So the week COVID shut things down, I was already planning on it. I was finally ready. I started my podcast. So it was all him. I had a few friends tell me like, oh, you should do one or whatever. But him like putting it to me like that, I was like, he's right. Because I've worked with probably 100 killers that are hilarious that have been on Tonight Show, Jimmy Fallon, Conan, but still they're not like a name you would know. They're like a sleeper. Like you show up to a show and you're like, God damn, this dude's funny.
Yeah. That's how I feel about you, man. Like I show up and I was like, bro, like, and I loved just like your style of comedy. Like there's a lot of like different styles of comedy. So like the style of comedy is like just blunt, like vulgar. Like,
is that what you say mine would? Because I don't
yours
have like
is,
a name
yeah.
for it. So what would you say mine is? It's blunt.
Yeah,
vulgar.
it's like blunt, vulgar. It reminds me a lot of like, I would say a mixture between like Joey Diaz and Tom Segura.
Oh, dude, I love Tom. I love both those guys. I think out of that whole, because you know Tom Segura is in that camp with like Bert Kreischer, Joe Rogan, like they're all friends.
Yeah.
But I think Tom Segura, I mean, he's the funniest one.
He's brilliant.
Hilarious, dude. He's so funny. I mean, thank you for the compliment. I'm not like aiming to try to be like anybody, but I mean, those are two people I really respect in comedy. And I can tell you the worst thing you could ever give a comic is a compliment, because we don't know what to do. And we're like, oh, no, I suck. I eat out of the trash. I'm garbage. So that's how I feel. But thank you.
Yeah, no, it's all good, man. It's all love.
I just don't want to like dilly-dally around on stage and waste people's times talking about like, oh, what part of the chicken is a chicken nugget or whatever the fuck, or I don't know, shit like that. I don't know. I just being myself. That's what they say to do, is just be yourself on stage. And I've got all these wild stories that I like to do dumb, stupid jokes and fuck around with people. But I mean, I have stories of like a hooker shitting in my trash can in Florida, or this one night stand I had who came back into my life when she was way fatter and I hit her with my car.
You gotta tell me one of those stories. Are those bits? Are those actual bits?
They are bits, but they're also things that happen to me that I've been through so much stupid shit in my life, I forget, and I'll be in conversation with somebody, or somebody that remembers that happening like in my life will bring it up, and I'm like, oh shit, I did hit that bitch with my car. She's alive. It's fine. And she apologized to me, so.
For hitting your car?
For me hitting her with my car. I did. She wouldn't get out of the way, so I fucking I hit her, dude. I had to.
Was she acting wild?
Oh, yeah, dude.
What was she doing?
Dude, it's a whole thing. It was a one-night stand I had, and I just started doing this story on stage, so I'm still working it around, but I won't do it in bit form. I'll just tell you so we had a one-night stand. That was when I was newer at comedy. I was only like maybe 2 years in, and she had came to a show or something, and like I was able to trick her to think I was hilarious or something, and then we fucked. It's great, whatever. And then like 10 months later, she hit me up, and I was leaving another show, and like the show had went terrible. Like a biker came on stage, tried to beat me up. It was just one of those nights where I was like, fuck, I'm like rushing to get out of there and get in my car. And she calls and she's like, hey, me and my friend are at my friend's house. We're drinking. You should come hang out with us, get some beer and come over. And I was like, hell yeah, I've never had a threesome. I'll fucking bang two ugly chicks. I don't give a shit. So I get over there, and like when I get there, she's like hammered. She's like white girl wasted, you know, and she spills red wine all over her friend's carpet. And it was a weird situation. Her friend was like hiding behind a bookshelf. Like there was a bed back there the whole time, and then she was talking to us, and I was like, "Come out here." And she just comes around the corner. She was kind of scary looking, nice girl. But they started arguing when her friend spilled the wine on her carpet, and
It does that.
okay. And they went in the bathroom, and I was like, "Fuck this, I'm gonna leave." So I went to leave, and when I backed out, I backed out the wrong way. It was a dead end. So when I turned around, she came out of the house and she got in front of my car, and she wouldn't let me by. And I tried to like speed by her, and she jumped in my window, and she had gained a good like 60 pounds since the last time I saw her, which is fine. I'm not complaining, you know, but it's just she was stuck in my door with her fat feet were dangling. So I was like, "Oh, I was just going to get condoms, baby," or whatever. So I pull back in the driveway, and she goes in the house, and I'm like, "I'm going to have a cigarette," and I'll come in. I have a cigarette, and I come in, and her friend's like going to bed. She's like hidden now, and she's just sitting on the couch when I go in there, and she's breathing heavy, you know. She's just sitting there just Have you ever seen white girls get so wasted they're not even loud anymore? They're like a villain, like in a movie. Because she's just sitting there breathing heavy. I'm like, "Everything okay?" And she goes, "I hate you." And I was like, "All right, you want me to go? I'll leave." And she takes another breath, and she goes, "I want you to stay here and fight me like a man."
What?
Yeah, dude. And I was like, "I don't want to be a man with you. Fuck that." So I was like, "Yeah, I'm going to go." And she shooed me out like a stray dog. She's like, "Yeah, get out of here." Yeah.
What the?
I was like, "All right." So I go get in my car, and I back out the right way, and I'm about to take off, and she comes full on. I've never seen a big person move this fast, dude. She was pulling the moon back at her. She was running like an Olympic sprinter, dude. She gets in front of my car. I roll the window up this time, so I'm like, "You ain't catching me again, little Debbie. Hell no." And she gets in front of my car, and she's doing that thing like we're playing basketball, and she won't let me go. And so I hit her, dude. I just, boom, I hit her with the car. There was sausage grease from her fingers down the side of my
God.
It took me 2 months to wash that shit off. And I hit her, and I drove off. I was like, "Fuck that." 'Cause I told my friend the story. I was like, "I hit her." He's like, "Is she okay?" I was like, "Yeah, she's fine." He goes, "Oh, you stopped and checked on her?" I was like, "No, I feel like she's fine." But then a year goes by. Didn't hear anything from her, which I was like, no news is good news. Fuck that.
Right.
A year goes by. I'm with a new girlfriend. We just moved in together. And I got a call one morning. We're laying in bed. It's like 8 a.m. And it's been like a year since this happened. You know, I forgot about the whole situation. I get a call at 8 a.m. My girlfriend's sleeping. I answer. I'm like, "Hello?" And as soon as I answer, I just hear, because I didn't recognize the number, I just hear, "I'm sorry you had to hit me with your car, Mikey. I love you. Please come back." And I was like, "Mom, who is this?" I was like, no, I remembered. And I was like, "Did I knock that bitch into a portal? It was a year ago, you know?"
Yeah, she just woke up.
Yeah, I was like, she's still fucked up from that, dude. She's still drunk. And I was like, "Hey, look, I just moved in with a new girlfriend. I'm glad you're fine, but I can't do this. Don't call me anymore. You got to drop this. I moved on. I think you should too. I wish you good luck, but we got to cut ties here. Send me some nudes, and I got to go. So bye." So I know she's fine because of that.
That's hilarious, man. That's hilarious.
And I forget about things like that. I've just dumb shit like that I've done, dude. And people remind me, or I just remember in conversations. I've got a bunch of those stories. I got booked today for a storytelling show, December 30th at DCC, Dallas Comedy Club. Y'all come out for that. But it's like, have you ever seen that show, This Is Not Happening?
Yeah.
They said basically it's like that, where I come and tell a story. So I'm either going to do that story, or I have a couple other ones I might do. I'm not sure yet. But
that's awesome.
That's the shit that I'm getting into doing on stage, because when you can make a longer bit like that work, and then you finally hit it right at the end, it's just, oh man,
that's amazing.
I've done almost every drug out there, and nothing compares, man. I've smoked crack, and crack is amazing, dude. It's really good. But it doesn't. Nothing compares to it.
How did you get into like the art of storytelling with comedy? And then it didn't start with storytelling?
No, it started with jokes and like dumb little things here and there, observations or whatever. It was mainly like a lot of times when you're newer, you'll drive with comics to shows or road gigs, and y'all hang out all the time. You know, it's almost like a fraternity or a brotherhood. And it was like me telling these stories, or I'd remember them in conversation in like a car ride. That's where most of my writing gets done, weirdly enough. But the other comics kept telling me, like, you got to do this on stage. You got to tell these stories. You got to figure out how to tell these on stage, because this is hilarious. They're like, you're funny or whatever, but this is fucking outrageous.
What is this? What is
This, like the stories I would tell them.
Oh, like when you're not on stage.
Yeah.
When you're just hanging out.
Yeah, we'd be like in a car ride on the way to
Gotcha.
an open mic or a show, or on the road, or just hanging out, you know. And I would just tell these stories, and they'd be like, "This is what you are. This is what you need to be doing on stage. That's way funnier." They're like, "That's better than your act now."
Okay, and that's how podcasting got you to.
Yeah, I feel like
pull that out of you.
podcasting got me better at being able to tell the stories, being more concise, especially to say it, not especially going through and editing clips and stuff made me realize, like, oh, I need this. Has nothing to do with the story. I don't really need this in there. It's just filler. And it helped me cut things down. I think it helped me with writing in general, whether it's jokes or stories, because you don't want to waste too much time setting something up forever. You know, if you do, it better fucking hit hard.
Yeah, and whenever you're cutting the fat, or like, I'm trying to figure out how to like talk about tone and then pauses, and then like how you like organize that, like, because you said you write. So do you ever like freestyle, or like how does that process
A lot
go?
of what I do is freestyle. I kind of like to leave things a little loose, like funk music. I love funk music, and if you ever watch that James Brown movie, there was one thing that sticks with me where it was the one where Chadwick Boseman played James Brown, and James Brown invented something called the one, and I think it means you come in on the downbeat instead of the upbeat, or vice versa. I don't know. I'm musically smart, but I just remember in the movie they were practicing, and the band kept messing up or stopping. He's like, "What's the problem?" They're like, "You're not supposed to come in on that beat. You're supposed to come in on this one." And he goes, "Well, let me ask, does it feel good?" And they're like, "Yeah." And he's like, "Does it sound good?" They're like, "Yeah." And he's like, "Well, that's music then. Fuck the rules. That's what it is." So I try to leave room for improvements, and just room to fuck around, really, on stage, because you never know. Something I was taught, and something I tell people, like, when you're trying to practice, when you're newer, take like 5 minutes of your jokes, or even 2 minutes, however much time you want to work on, and go somewhere you feel completely comfortable, like your bedroom, wherever. Close the door. Some people say do it with a mirror. I never really did. I hate looking at myself. So I'm too handsome. I can just get stuck there, you know. But I would say my act, like a few minutes of it or whatever I want to work on, I'd say it a few different ways. So I'd say it out loud, and pretending like I'm on stage. I'd say it like I'm happy, like I'm mad, like I'm sad, like I'm nonchalant, just all these different ways, because that really helped me figure out, like, oh, this joke needs to be paired with this joke, or this joke, I'm just saying it wrong, or it helps you figure out the different flows and energy of things, because not everything, if everything's the same, if you say it all the same, then it's just flat, boring, and it gets monotonous, and after about 8 to 10 minutes, a crowd's going to check out unless your jokes are just that fucking funny.
Who does a good job of that? It's a comic that just keeps it flat and is just like funny.
Sam Morrill. Yeah,
Okay.
I worked with him, and he stands there with his words, and he is just that fucking funny. He doesn't like it. Like, you know, when you watch Joey Diaz, sometimes he gets a little animated or crazy or whatever. That's just his style. Sam Morrill is a pure, like, joke writer, teller. Story's great, everything. I'm not saying like he's like monotone, flat like that, but he doesn't really need like a big energy.
He's
like
not
a lot
theatrical.
That's just not him.
Yeah,
That's who he is.
And then like tone, right? So like the tone is so important. Like how do you control your tone, and how do you know how to control your tone?
I mean, a lot of the stuff, I kind of, the joke or the story dictates my tone. I mean, just whatever it calls for. You know, it's I think that's why a lot of stand-ups make good actors, because we're already doing it. You know, you tried a few different ways, and I mean, controlling it, I just know that, like, when I go from, say, I have a joke about I've been doing about Joe Biden. I don't really do political jokes, but it's just something ridiculous I've seen about his videos. But when I go from like that joke to the story about, like, I gave you that sticker of the gummy worm. It's a story about an old lady who followed me back to my hotel room. They're two different things, so the tone for that one's a little more animated and wacky because it's a silly story, as opposed to another one where it's kind of like, what the fuck is this?
Wait, could you tell me that story?
Which one?
The gummy worm where the old lady followed you?
Yeah, I mean, I just posted this one, I think, a couple weeks ago on my Instagram and TikTok. You guys check that out at Mikey Be the Comic on all platforms. But it's a bit I do on stage, but I was in Oklahoma doing shows. This was like a year or two ago. And the club I was working at got me a hotel. I was getting off the elevator going to my room. And I'm trimming a lot of the funny stuff out just because it feels weird to do a bit.
I understand.
The old lady was getting on the elevator, little gray-haired old lady, and she's getting on the elevator when I'm getting off, and we pass, and she like winks at me and smiles. I was like, "Oh, hi, how you doing?" Sweet old lady, whatever. You know, old ladies love me. You know, I got sex appeal for grandmas, I guess. But she smiled. I go to my room, and as soon as I close the door, I hear somebody knock. So I turn around and open it. And it's the old lady. This bitch stalked me back to my room. And I was like, "Can I help you?" And she goes, "Yeah." And she started telling me the story about her dead husband, how I look just like her dead husband.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah, I know, right? And like somebody the night before would give me a bag of edibles after the show. A lot of times I've had people give me mushrooms, but somebody gave me like 1,000 milligrams of gummy worms.
That's generous of them.
Yeah, and I ate the whole bag that morning. I got up, I ate them. I rode a city scooter around. Homeless people were calling me queer. It's hilarious. But I go back to my room, and she starts saying this story, and I was so high. I was like, "Is this the devil? What is this?" And I just let her talk for 15 minutes. I was too scared to interrupt her. I didn't know what to do, and I was just like, "Oh, my God." And then after she was done with the story, she was like, "Thank you, young man, for listening. You didn't have to do that. It's very sweet of you." And I was like, "Oh, no problem, you know, whatever." And she goes, "You deserve a reward for that. You seem like a sweet soul." She goes, "Would you like a gummy worm?" And I'd eaten my whole bag, you know, and they have legal weed there in Oklahoma. So I was like, "That's a cool ass old lady." I was like, "Hell yeah, I'll take a gummy worm." And then she popped her teeth out.
Yo.
Dude.
Yo.
I had no idea. Okay, I didn't even say shit yet. Yes, I did let her suck my dick. But I didn't know. I was still really high when she popped her teeth out. I was so high that all I could think is like, how's she going to chew hers? You know? And then I realized what was going on because I didn't know I was the candy at first. When I realized, I was like, "Shit, bitch, I'll slurp one down with you. Let's go right now."
That's hilarious.
I just started doing that on stage and popping the teeth out or whatever. I felt it's kind of hacky, but I was like, I don't know. Crowd loves it when I do it.
Yeah.
But that's what that sticker I gave you is from. That
Yeah.
joke. That's the joke. There's a lot more to that. Like I said, you can check. It's on my page. You can find it.
Yeah, man. That's
All 3 of your
freaking
listeners. I
hilarious.
hope you all give me a like on it too. Appreciate that.
We've been cracking like.
I'm just talking shit.
No, yeah, no, it's like 100. It's not like anything crazy. No, I just started this like a month ago.
Dude, my podcast, like, we have great social media. We got like over 20,000 followers, but like the numbers for YouTube, they're climbing, but they're not great. And sometimes I'll post a clip and it'll get like fucking 80,000 the first day, or nothing, or
awesome.
the next time it'll have like 4 views, and I'm like, how having 20,000 followers? How does it have nothing? That doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah,
But it's because I say cunt and I curse a lot and do stuff
well, not
like
even
that.
because I have I follow a lot of people who have like 10,000, 20,000, like 50,000, 60,000 followers, but then I'll look at their reels and it's like 200, 200,
Yeah.
300, 400.
And I didn't buy any followers. I don't want to do that. Even like after my shows, so like the stickers I gave you, I have other merch too. I'm just out right now. Like I have my own rolling papers. T-shirts are probably coming back. I'm redesigning some new ones. I might do hats instead. I don't know. But like after a show, I have a big sheet of all my QR codes for like my website, my TikTok, Instagram, whatever. And then I got like my Cash App, Venmo for people that buy stuff. But I have people scan that, and if you give me a follow, I give you a free sticker, is what I've been doing. Because I don't want to buy followers, because if people will do that after a show, these are people who actually liked me and wanted to see it, as opposed to like buying followers and having bots or having people who just ended up on your page and eventually they're like, fuck this, I don't want to follow this guy. They're not going to buy tickets when I come to their city.
Yeah.
You know? I'd rather have people that are like, oh, yeah, I remember I met that guy. Yeah, let's go to a show or whatever.
Just creating it organically. And that's the
It's
best
going
way.
slow. I'm thinking about buying some followers, but my Instagram just hit a little over 2,000, which sat for a long time because I wasn't like trying to build or do anything. I just had one because I was supposed to, And now I'm in the mode of like, let's build this shit. Let's go.
Yeah, dude, I was like not a big like social media person. Like,
Oh, I'm not even a fan of social media.
right,
But
you have to.
it's the job now, and I just was thinking about it and meeting some of the older comics. You know, you ever met somebody that's like burned out or washed out or whatever? They don't care anymore. It's like a cautionary tale to me. And like these guys like, oh, fuck social media. I'm like, I don't want to be that. I don't want to be
Yeah.
stuck behind, stubborn. Shit changes, change with it, or fucking fall back. Get out of the way.
I hate those people where
Yeah.
it's like, at like my job, they'll be like Excel spreadsheets, and I'm like, oh, you can do it this way, and they're like, well, we've always done it like this, and I'm like, you can do it this way too, bro. Like, it's not like
it's easier.
Yeah, so I noticed that, and I was like, bro, I just don't want to ever be like that. So it's kind of like what you were saying earlier. It's you're always learning.
Yeah.
You're always learning. Always be a student of the game, and I mean, just don't like act like you know it all.
Yeah, because you never do.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't at all. People ask me for advice, and I always feel weird. And like, I'll have newer comics come up and ask me, like, oh, how do you do this or that? And I always preface it with, look, I'm just making all this up as I go. I don't know. I could be completely wrong here. This is what I think in my experience, but a lot of this you got to figure out for yourself. Not trying to be rude, but that's just the way it is. You can't do everything. You can't take everything and do it the same way another person does it because you're not them and they're not you. It doesn't
Especially
work
with
like that.
comedy.
Yeah, because there's no I tell them straight up, there's no comedy blueprint. Nobody can tell you this is how things are done and it's going to work 100% for 100% of everybody, even 90%, because that's just not the way it is.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you got to find your own path and build your own thing. Some people have passed me up, and then I've also passed people by. So I mean, everybody's got a different path and timeline, and comedy. I have to remind myself of that. Like when you see somebody get something, you want to get jealous. Which, I mean, I'm guilty of that 1,000% as much as everybody else, if not more. I just remind myself now, like, I'm doing my own thing. I want to do it my way. I don't want to do it someone else's way. I've got my own timeline. It's just, it's just the way it is. I can't compare myself to them or them to me.
Are you religious? Do you believe in God?
I mean, I don't know, man. I don't know. Everything feels so wacky now in this world, you know? I was raised Catholic. I don't know. I mean, I believe there's something.
Okay.
You know, I don't know if it's a muscly Santa in the sky throwing lightning bolts at us or telling us to stop butt fucking each other. I don't know if it's that, but
Yeah.
that's my friend always laughs because I call him Muscle Santa in the clouds.
Muscles. Okay,
Because
I
it's
just
that,
totally
like-
got that.
Yeah, exactly, right? It's so stupid, but it makes sense. The beard, he's just
Yeah.
up there fucking.
Muscle Santa.
Yeah. But I don't know. I mean, I think there is something out there, and I think there's more to things than what you see. I think there is something to speaking things into existence and manifestation and other powers of the world of things that you can't see. You know, I'm not saying like magic. Maybe there is, but I mean, I think there's a lot of things a lot of weight behind speaking things into existence. I mean, I've spoke where I am into existence. I'm just trying to speak it further now. You know.
Yeah. Man, dude, literally with this podcast, man. So, like, I've been wanting to do a podcast for, like, damn near 10 years. Like, I remember, like, listening to Joe Rogan, like, when he was at, like, episode, like, 300, 400.
Yeah.
And that was, like, probably, like, I don't know, 2013, 14. And I was like, this is what I want to do.
Yeah.
And I just, like, and all my friends, they know me as the guy who wants to do a podcast. And they would, like, and then I finally was like, let's just go.
Yeah. Then you realize all you need is a couple of microphones. You can just upload it yourself.
Well, to be honest, man, I didn't even I don't know how to work any of this stuff. So I got lucky with Caesar. Shout out to the Renaissance podcast. He does that. So we just ended up meeting, and also the timing was right. So I didn't want to like just have a podcast for no reason because like most people, you have a podcast because you're a comedian. You're trying to sell tickets.
Yeah. Well,
So-
not even just that. I enjoy doing it. My co-host is my best friend of 20 plus years, and he's not a comedian. And I think that's better for me, but we just have fun. We just talk some comedy stuff. We laugh, talk some dirty shit, do some crime stories, and get the fuck out.
But you still have to create content to be a
Yeah.
comedian.
Yeah, and
So
it's a
if
great
I'm-
way to do it.
Right. So for me, I'm just if I didn't have any like motive or incentive, it's like why would anyone listen to me?
Yeah.
So that's this year I started doing I started this financial marketing organization. So that's a way that like I kind of talk about like life insurance, annuities, financial wealth building strategies, retirement planning. So then it's like, okay, now I can have a reason, like a funnel, I guess you can say.
Yeah.
So it's like, but I also just want to do whatever I want to do with the podcast. So I remember again whenever I was talking to some other people, they're like, oh, you got to do it to specifically sell shit. And And I was like, no, I just
No.
wanna do whatever I want to do, and then the selling shit will come naturally if I'm just authentic on the podcast.
Yeah.
So that's kind of, and then also like I just
People
didn't-
hate being sold to, man. It's too car salesman-y, you know?
Yeah.
People don't, I find it, I'm so sick of these social media ads where like, oh, hey, my TikTok shop, or where they act like it's not a commercial, but they're clearly selling something.
Yeah.
And it's like, fuck, do you think I'm that fucking stupid? Oh, okay. Oh, fucking people who make commercials, I feel like, think that the public, especially in America, is so fucking stupid. The way they advertise things, I think most things you don't need a commercial for, like toilet paper. I'm gonna buy toilet paper.
Yeah.
If I need something, I'll Google it, figure it out, or I'll look it up on YouTube. Other than that, I don't need you to sell me shit. A commercial has never worked on me. You know?
It's never been late at night, and you see like a McDonald's commercial, and you're like,
I
"Dang,
mean,
want some
yeah, of
McDonald's."
course, but I was gonna do that anyways. You know, that was me willing that commercial into fruition. So I don't know. I hate commercials.
I hate commercials too, man.
Yeah.
I literally
I
like.
hate being sold to. I think a lot of people do. It feels icky.
Yeah. So that's kind of like my perspective is like I'm just gonna talk, do a podcast, have fun, and then I also sell like life insurance and like retirement packages. So if that comes with it, I know it eventually will, but I'm not like here to like push that or do any of that stuff. So, but now I have like a reason to create content. I didn't
Yeah.
want to like just get on like I said, we were both saying. I didn't really have a reason to post, but now I have like a reason to post.
Well, I disagree because there's a million other idiots posting and getting likes and views and listen to them on their podcast. I mean, there's a podcast for everything now. The market's probably flooded now, but I mean, if you're a good one, you're a good one, you know?
Yeah.
But there's plenty of people with stupid fucking opinions giving them out, you know?
For sure. Hey, no, there's a bunch of idiots talking to microphones, and we
Yeah.
just might be two more, but who cares?
Yeah. Count me as 1.5. Fuck it. You know?
So, okay. What is the next thing you want to do with comedy?
I really want to do some of the bigger comedians I've worked with. One specifically, I'm not gonna drop names because I don't want to be icky like that. But he was telling me, I worked with him a few months ago, and he's like, "This is what I want you to do." He's like, "By the end of the year, you need to at least have a plan for your special, your first album, whatever you want to call it out." Either recorded or have a plan for it. And when you put it out, I'll help you promote it. I'll post it a couple times or something, which, I mean, you know, can help a lot. Them even just sharing a clip or anything about it would be great. And that's what I'm really trying to focus on right now is that I want to get I think the name is going to be Honorable Scumbag. I'm pretty dead set on that name. I have a few others I'm kicking around. I was thinking maybe Fast Cars, Guitars, and Not Saying Hard R's or something like that. Just fucking around. I thought about calling it You're Gay just to fuck with people, but I think Honorable Scumbag, that's been stuck in my head. Subject to change. But that's what I want to do because I feel like he said that's your next step. You got a few podcast followers, keep growing that, build your social media, put out that special, then you have a body of work that you can promote. And he goes, it might do nothing or it might change your career and you can finally start headlining clubs. Because I'll headline off nights at clubs or like other nights at like bars or other venues and stuff like that. I've been fortunate to do some cool ones. I've done a couple theaters, like one-nighters or whatever, or I headline. And I mean, that's what I want to do. I'm trying to get to there. I'm trying to get there to where this can be a living and I don't have to do other things to supplement. Even if I'm not like all the way up there, which of course that's what I want. If I can make a living doing comedy, I still won.
You won,
it's still
yeah.
a win.
You know what's crazy? You've already won because you're doing what you love, and a lot of people are not. Kind of like what we were talking about
I do feel
earlier.
fortunate for that, and not like trying to be douchey or whatever. But I feel lucky that I know what I'm supposed to be doing and what I want to do, and I want to do it more. You know, I wish I could. I was already selling enough seats where I could be headlining a club every weekend, at least 3 weekends out of the month. And I like traveling. I like meeting new people. I like having fun with a bunch of strangers in the dark, basically.
Yeah.
Saying dirty ass shit to people and getting them to relate to it or at least laugh at it, and they have a good time and forget about their bullshit, their kid's an addict, or they hate this politician, or whatever the story is, or their wife's cheating on them. If we can forget about that for a little bit and just have some fun, that's all I care about.
Do you think that a lot of the comedians that you've interacted with and like worked with over the years, they have a dark past?
I think there's a mix of both. You know, I think a lot of I think a lot of them do. I think it's almost like comedian training.
Yeah.
Like, have you seen the movie The Joker?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm a
Joaquin
big fan
Phoenix.
of the Joker.
Second one's coming out soon. But yeah, Sam Morril was in that movie. I would say shout out, but he probably doesn't even remember me.
And he's probably not gonna watch this.
He's definitely not gonna watch this. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like, I mean, I've just like everybody else, I've got bullshit in my past, and I just realized one day I wanted to put that behind me. I don't want to. It's too heavy to carry around with me, and the thing I always tell myself is, I'll be damned if my past determines my future. It doesn't have to go like that, you know.
That's good, man. That's good. So, what was it like when you were like trying to become a comedian, right? Because
I still am, basically.
no, I hear you. But you from your bomb on your opening mic night,
I mean,
to like, okay, now I'm getting booked. Now people are laughing.
It took a few years to even get kind of funny, you know, to figure out. When you start out, you're just trying to figure out how to make people laugh, and they say ultimately you should be yourself on stage, you know, and that's what I try to do, is like leave a little piece of who I am to every show that I do, like at least give them a little insight to like either where I come from or who I am or whatever, something personable. I just want to be more memorable like that. But at first, it's not like that at all. You're just trying to make people laugh. It's a lot of bombs, and I still bomb. It still happens sometimes, but it was a little rough. You definitely had to believe in yourself and like hang in there. Or here's the thing: even if you don't believe in yourself, once you start comedy and you get a few laughs, that feeling is like, it's like the first hit of good cocaine you've ever done. Because you're chasing that dragon. I've chased this dragon all across the country. I've driven to Kentucky to do an hour for 4 people.
Wow.
There was only 2 when I started. We trapped 2 more. So I mean, it's you're chasing that, and the scene here now in Dallas where we are is a lot different than when I started. It's a lot more supportive now. When I started, it was cliquey and people arguing or like hating on you for whatever, which still happens. I mean, in any thing like that you do, there's always going to be some of that kind of like high schoolness, you know, but it's a lot more supportive than it used to be, which I think is kind of gay. Because when I was new, a lot of people were mean to me. I remember people that were doing comedy before me, after an open mic set, I'd go up to them and be like, hey, that was really funny or whatever. And they would like, I remember one chick specifically looked at me and just went back to her conversation and ignored me. And then I remember years later, I did a show where she opened for me, and she's like, oh, it was really good. Can I have a cigarette? And I did the same thing. I was like, no, I'm just kidding. Here, you can have one. But remember, you were a bitch before. Because I didn't want to be like that, you know. But now it's a lot more supportive. But them doing that to me made me want to earn their respect. It made me want to get better. It made me want to strive and not be so terrible on stage. And I feel like that's I don't know. I don't want to be one of those people like shaking my fist like, oh, they're too nice these days or whatever. But sometimes I think some of you motherfuckers don't need to be told that you're doing good.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. What's the Dallas comedy scene like now? Like, how was it, and then what's changed, and like, is it better? Is it good?
I mean, in that retrospect, it is. I mean, it's a good scene. I think Dallas is a great scene. We have a lot of clubs here in town. Not a lot of indie stuff that's good. We need some more of that stuff. Some of the clubs don't like it when you do that, but you know what? Their interest is making money, which I understand. It's a business.
What do you mean indie club?
No, I mean like indie stuff, like house shows or bar shows or breweries.
Got you. That's true.
There's some of those going around, but there's not. I travel to other scenes, and they'll have like Colorado is mostly independent stuff. Or like DC. I've done DC a couple times. I've done shows in an art gallery that were sold out and couldn't even get anybody else in there. Or little places like that. Those are always fun. And I think we need more of those. But what I tell people about the Dallas scene, I think the Dallas scene breeds killers because of Dallas itself. Because people come out to a show, a lot of times they sit there and it's like, make me laugh. They're like, prove it, you know. You have to earn every little chuckle you get sometimes in Dallas. Whereas like you go to Colorado or even Austin or some of these other scenes where a lot of the people just that live in that city are more supportive of the arts. They come out to these independent things. They come out to a show to laugh. Here I notice, especially on those Thursday shows where you see me a few times, because people don't buy a ticket, they're like, oh, it might not be that good, and they'll sit there with their arms crossed. And you got to really break them open to have a good show sometimes. And I think Dallas breeds really good comedians. I think it does. I think it breeds killers and toughened, hardened people that can endure. There's nothing on stage, that I can think of that would faze me. anymore. I mean, all kinds of shit.
Man, that's the thing about, like, you're absolutely right. Like, Dallas breeds killers not in just comedy, but in, like, I think almost any industry, because there's like the old oil bunny here, right? There's a bunch of, like, people with a lot of money, and there's a lot of people here with, like, no freaking money.
Yeah.
So then it's kind of like the ghetto is bordering the rich neighborhoods.
Or mixed in sometimes.
Or,
yeah.
So it's like we're all, like, together, and then you, like, you have the rich people are sometimes they can be either nice or they can be like stuck up.
I think
and they're like they're right there right with you.
I think the city as a whole is just kind of like what you used to imagine New York was like, back in the day.
Yeah.
I feel like Dallas as a whole, it's not a nice. It's a nice city, as in like appearances, whatever. It's fine. It's got its ghettos, but I don't think it's a nice city as far as the people. Fort Worth is way nicer, and it's the other part of our city, our metroplex. But the Dallas here, people don't.
They can be pretentious.
Oh yeah, and that's always the thing people say. Like Fort Worth talk shit about Dallas. Yeah, people in Dallas, they don't give a fuck about you. Yeah. And Dallas, you know what we like to do if you're not from Dallas? We like to fuck, we like to fight, and we like to fucking eat and drink. That's it. There's no culture here. Yeah. The culture is how much tequila can you have before 4? And there's lots of good tequila. I can have a lot, but I don't think it's not like going to North Carolina or somewhere where there's a beach. You walk around Dallas, you're like, hey, where's this at? Hey, fuck you. That's where it's at. Google it, bitch.
Yeah.
It's
just bars.
Literally,
it's literally just bars everywhere.
Yeah, it's all a different way to drink. You want to drink and throw axes? Do you want to drink and eat burgers?
Yeah.
Do you want to drink and watch a guy play the piano and sing Lady Gaga? What do you want to do?
Yeah.
But either way, we're gonna drink, we're gonna fuck, and we're gonna fight. And hopefully, there's some tacos open afterwards.
There probably are, but that's what Dallas breeds killers.
Yeah.
And it's so, like, you're absolutely right. You go to those shows, and I go to those shows, right? And there's been times where people are horrible.
Thursday compared to like Saturday, say Saturday early show, either show Saturday, any of these clubs, you compare. Well, I'd say like especially like at Hyenas where Thursday's usually like a free show. Mm-hmm. It's you just have the 2-item minimum. But you compare Thursday to like early Saturday, it's night and day because Thursday, the same set I'll do Thursday, and I'll have a good set. I wouldn't say I'm murdered or anything like that, and I'm working for it, and I'm sweating. I'm really working the fucking room here and pointing things out. I'm like, oh, this side of the room sucks. Y'all are fucking nerds, and this side's better. Y'all have to buy stickers, or I'm not gonna like you, or whatever. Mm-hmm. Then you do that same set on Saturday, and I don't even touch some of that stuff because it's just going so good. Big laughs, applause breaks, shit like that. People aren't really yelling stuff out. People are there to fucking laugh. It's like a different, which is weird.
It is weird. It's totally like depending on the mood of the city or those people, right? Because like,
if the Cowboys lose, that next week is gonna suck.
Really?
Yeah. The traffic on Monday after a Cowboys loss is fucking horrific. You'll get shot in traffic. But if the Cowboys win, people are like, no, get on it. Go ahead, get in. Go ahead. Yeah, let's go.
That's so funny.
Dude,
I was at the Cowboys game last night. That's where I got
were
this.
You? Hell yeah.
They gave me a free hat. And I decided to get cowboyed up.
Oh, dude, that's awesome. Hell yeah. I had a show last night at the Fort Worth Hyenas, and I forgot Cowboys were playing, or I would have been like, oh, I'm already booked somewhere because I'd rather either be at the game or be watching it, But I was watching the game, driving through fog. It was foggy trying to get there.
Yeah.
Literally, the whole time before I went on stage, I was watching the game on my phone. I went on stage for 30 minutes, like right at halftime. It was perfect. Got off, started watching it again on my phone.
That's sick.
Yeah, I'm a huge Cowboys fan, and I'm not gonna. I hate when people. What bothers me is when other Cowboys fans are like, "This is our year." Shut the fuck up and let's see what happens. Just enjoy the wins we do get. Other than that, don't sit here and talk shit. This is our year. Fuck off. It's the NFL. Anything can happen. You don't know the script, so just relax.
Yeah,
you're jinxing it, fuckhead.
I didn't know you were such a big Dallas guy.
Oh yeah, dude. I'm born and raised here. I've lived all over, but yeah, I'm born and raised here in Dallas.
I fucking love Dallas, man. I love this city.
I love it and I hate it. I
love this city. Why do you hate it?
Yeah. I mean, it's ups and downs. It's like any city, I mean, of course, you get tired. I'll be 41 in a couple of weeks. Born and raised here. Lived in Florida for a while. I still love Dallas, so I still love this area, man.
But what do you hate about it? You said you hate. What are the things that you could hate?
The people, the fucking people. Sometimes.
I guess, yeah. But I like that. I
wish we had
people.
more culture, more things. I mean, there's museums and shit. But, I mean, it's not like...
drinking is our culture.
Yeah. Houston's kind of the same, but Houston's got more things to do, I guess. I feel like Houston's really
What do they
cool.
I'm not a big fan of Houston.
Really, I like Houston's culturally diverse. It's like one of the most. You can look this up, or don't. Just trust me. Most culturally diverse city in the country.
Okay.
And so like he'll go down there and do shows, and there'll be like Ethiopians, like Argentinians, and all these people mixed together, and Polish people, and Australia. There's people just mixed together in Houston. And it's just fun. I just feel like it's also a bigger city, but I don't know. I still love Dallas. Don't get me wrong. I just get tired of it, you know. Do something.
What's your favorite city? Where's your favorite city?
In which aspect? Like performing or?
Yeah, let's do performing and then just visiting for fun.
I mean, it's hard to say. DC is great. Houston's fun. I lived in Tampa for a while. I think my favorite city to perform in. I mean, as dumb as it sounds, Oklahoma City. I used to talk so much shit about Oklahoma, how far behind the times they are, and they only know about one Cypress Hill album and all that.
Yeah.
But I have a great time in Oklahoma because, call them what you will, when I do a show there, they hardly ever get offended and like storm out or make a big deal. They know the game. They know it's comedy. Nothing's off limits in comedy. We're here to fuck around. We're not. If you're taking your political advice from me, you're already fucked, idiot. So, man, it's got to be a toss-up between there or Washington, D.C., which is probably the most fucked up comparison ever.
Why Washington? I've never seen Washington as like a comedy city.
Oh, it is, dude. That's Dave Chappelle's originally from there.
I thought he was from Ohio.
No, he lives there now, but
Okay.
he grew up and started comedy in D.C. Like D.C. Improv was like his
Oh,
own
that's
club.
where he would just go to the park and do.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
okay.
yeah,
That was in
DC.
DC. Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
But I mean, not even just because of that. I just have a great time there. I've been there twice. It's kind of a lawless land, which is weird for a place where our laws get passed. Like there's
Did
dispensaries.
you know that most millionaires live there also?
Oh yeah, of
Because
course.
it's all
dude.
the
because
they just
they're all
fund themselves.
fucking
Yeah,
yeah, of course, dude. There's secret tunnels and shit. They got dispensaries and they're like kind of shady. So
well, the secret tunnels is for all the shape shifting reptiles. So
well,
you
yeah,
gotta-
of course. You can't have them on the street doing that shit. It's gross. But that's like their dispensaries. I like the griminess of things. I don't really like the shiny. Like, oh, let's go look at the Eiffel Tower or whatever the fuck. I like the real experience. Chicago's another great city like that I almost moved to. I love it. But like DC, you can walk down the street smoking a joint, and cops, as long as you're not murdering or cocaining, cops don't give a shit. They have a ton of like, Rough Riders like DMX,
Yeah.
like those kind of street gangs or bike gangs,
Yeah.
like dirt bikes and four wheelers. These motherfuckers will just ride on the street. There's a no chase policy, so cops can't even legally chase them.
Really?
I've seen people. I was on the street smoking a joint. I was between shows. There's like a night that I had like 2 or 3 shows, but like after the first show, I'm out there smoking a joint. I got a drink with me, and I see a cop and these motorcycle gang just circles him, stops him on the street. Dude's riding a wheelie around his cop car, flipping him off, and then he just drives off. And the cop's like, "Whatever."
Why can't they do that?
That's their policy. It's so dangerous there, and when the city's so congested, they don't want them going on big chase scenes through the city and civilian.
They
deaths.
don't want police officers to chase criminals.
They don't want the casualties, the civilian deaths. It's super dangerous.
Okay.
So what they do is they wait till they find them parked somewhere, and they just impound their vehicle. So if you drive by the impound there's just hundreds of dirt bikes and four wheelers that they're just going to auction back off to the same people they took them from. So that's just their thing. It's too
Circle
it's
of
literally
life.
plus it's just people pull out guns and start shooting cops, start shooting people, and they're like, let's just not chase them. And I feel like it calmed it down, but you still see some of it out there, and it's just wild. But it's
Dude,
fun.
it reminds me of like the cartel in Mexico. Their government's just like, yeah, they're just the cartel. They could be carteling.
Yeah, what is the
That's
government?
literally-
What is this government going to do?
Yeah.
Send their soldiers to the cartel to take them down. The cartel will just pay them more to take the government down.
Yeah.
So it's literally a Mexican standoff, dude. That's
Yeah.
what it is. That's where it comes from. They're like, okay, just like try not to kill too many people. Like, stop.
You didn't say L.A., Austin, or New York for your favorite place to perform.
Never been to L.A. or New York. I need to go as a comedian. I feel like an idiot for never going. Supposed to go to L.A. and that trip got canceled. I think because I died. Was that what it was? Something like that. And New York, I plan to go early next year. I want to go to New York.
Dude, I like being a comedy fan. I've never been to either or and seen a comedy show. I went whenever I was in LA. I tried to go see a show. It just didn't work out. But I'm not a big fan of the LA. I am a big fan of New York, and I didn't see a comedy show at a club, but I did see Louis C.K. before he got canceled at Madison Square Garden.
Oh, dude.
That was one of the like a.
Isn't it funny though the way you say it, like canceled? Where I feel like now to start a career, I have to get canceled before I even can have a career. I feel like that actually ends up boosting people. Like
Andrew Tate.
Do what?
Like Andrew Tate. They tried to cancel him. He just got bigger.
Yeah, that's all you're doing is more people know him, and more fans that would like him can find him now.
It just speeds the process up.
Yeah. I'm not like trying to actively offend people or anything, but I have pissed a lot of people off. And I'm like, that's a good sign, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm supposed to. I made you feel something.
Yeah.
So go ahead. Try. This one chick tried to cancel me on Twitter, but she didn't have enough followers. And I was like, come back when you get some more followers. Please, I could use your help with a career, so please cancel me.
See, that's so funny because you got to make enemies. If you're not making enemies, then you're not doing anything you're passionate about or like in line with whatever.
Yeah, and I'm not trying to do that, but I'm also going to be myself, and I'm not going to pussyfoot around or what's it called, virtue signal.
Yeah.
That shit's dumb. Just like one of the terms I hate is cultural appropriation. That's the most ignorant fucking thing I've ever heard.
Mm-hmm.
Because think about this. They say, like, as a white guy, you can't do whatever black things or whatever. So you're only supposed to do white people things? Isn't that more racist to not experience another culture?
Yeah.
I get if you're, like, taking from it in a nasty way or something like that. But, like, I think it shouldn't be cultural appropriation. It should be cultural appreciation.
Yeah.
Like, I'm half Mexican and half white. So what am I can't do either thing now because I'm appropriating one or the other? Fuck off. I can do both things. I can do all things. It doesn't matter. That's what it's about. We're supposed to share each other's cultures and things that we enjoy with each other. What's to say just because I'm white, I wouldn't like some Jamaican culture or Polish or whatever the fuck you want to call it.
It's funny because we have like affirmative action, and they're like, no, you have to be diverse. So we have too many white people. We need to bring more Asians, or we have too many Asians. We need to bring more
How about you
black
just hire who's qualified for the thing?
Yeah, but it's like they're trying not to be racist, and they're being racist.
Yeah,
it's so funny.
It's ridiculous. All this. It's because America is so great. We're just creating problems.
Literally,
that's what it is. We have too many options. I'm not going to say too many freedoms because I believe in all freedom, and that's fine. I'm not mad at I'm not saying this because I hate trans people or any of that stuff. I don't care. Do whatever you want. I literally just don't fuck with me. I do whatever you want though. Literally, that's the point of all this. Stop creating problems where there's not problems, and stop with all the pronouns. All right, be whatever you want. I don't care. But if I accidentally call you a she and you want to go by a he, more power to you. But all I have is context clues. Okay,
Yeah.
so I'm just making an old assumption, I guess. But I don't think you should bite someone's head off for that. You know,
it's like what you said, man. We don't have enough problems. Like in America, you don't really have problems.
yeah, we're not running from predators anymore. We're not running from.
There's no like wars. There's no famine.
Yeah, I mean, there's wars and stuff, and there's famine, but that's not
here.
Not here. Yeah,
Not
there's
here.
tons of homeless people. We got plenty of problems we should be fixing here instead of in other places. But I mean, I can't do shit about that. All I can do is accidentally call you a woman if you're a dude, or a dude if you're a woman. I mean,
Yeah.
and do whatever you want. Again, I don't care with your shit. But just because you want to play that way, you don't have to expect everyone else to play your game.
Yeah.
That's my whole thing, which is fine. I mean, I don't mind calling someone whatever the fuck they want to be called. But if I mess up or make a mistake, I'm not perfect, bitch.
Yeah.
Fuck off.
Have you been to Austin and performed there?
Oh, yeah.
What do you like about Austin?
I don't.
You don't like Austin?
It's all right. Austin's overrun. There's a ton of comics there. You got to understand it's the new L.A., so every fucking wackadoo, I've never used that word before, every wackadoo from everywhere that's like people who never even did comedy moved to Austin to be comedians. They're like, Joe Rogan's there. He's going to be Papa Joe and make me famous. I'm going to be his friend or whatever. I don't know. Austin's fun, and it's fine. I always have a good time when I'm there. And I don't hate Austin, but I just don't really have any interest in moving there. I don't think you have to now with social media and the way things are. You don't have to move somewhere for this thing anymore. But Austin's fine. Can y'all shut the fuck up about your barbecue? Okay, we get it. If you got a mustache and a chef hat, you're an aficionado. We fucking get it, dude. But they don't shut up about it down there.
Do you not think it's a good idea if, like, you know, like you said, Joe Rogan created like a new comedy mecca or whatever? And
I think it's great. And I think what they're doing down there is wonderful. And I got plenty of friends that work at his club, the Mothership, and it's built for comedians, and that's fucking amazing. Like, if you're a door guy and you have a show that same night and you got to work, You just clock out, go do your show, and come back. They don't care. They literally have extra people on staff for that, and they don't make a stink about it. They're like, yeah, go ahead, clock out, go do your show, come back when you're done. And I think it's amazing that it's another option other than L.A. or New York or D.C. or Chicago. But with social media now, you don't have to go anywhere. You can build your followers anywhere and do your own thing. You can build your own empire from your from your cell phone.
Yeah.
You know, you don't have to do any of the stuff. You don't have to do anything everybody else's way anyways.
Yeah.
And I think it's great. And don't get me wrong, Austin is fun. They got tons of independent stuff. They got a bunch of clubs now. And that's cool. Between Austin and Dallas, there's probably 15 to 20 comedy clubs. Dallas has got like 8 comedy clubs now. Another one, Big Laugh, is opening like next month, I think, in Fort Worth, which was based from Austin and started there. So, I mean, I think it's good. Where I'm at is good because I can be in Austin in 2.5 hours, do shows there. I can be in Houston in 4 hours, Oklahoma City 2.5 hours, San Antonio 5 hours, 4 hours, whatever it is. So I think Texas is really a good spot now, especially with Austin. I've literally left my house and been gone for 3 weeks between here, Austin, San Antonio, Houston, and doing shows almost every night of the week.
The South is like doing pretty cool, like getting pretty big with comedy, which is like awesome for a fan. Have you ever done shows at TK's comedy?
Yeah, I've done shows there.
Yeah, we know TK, and he's really cool, and he has a bit about Oklahoma, and
What's his bit about?
it's like I'm totally gonna butcher it, but it's like he talks about.
I'm sure he did too.
Yeah, he talks about how like he was dating this like girl that ended up like being a guy or something, and then he gave him a ride back to Oklahoma where he's from or something. It was hilarious. Have you ever performed at the Mothership?
No, I haven't.
Do you want
Not
to?
yet. Yeah, I do. I want to. I just finished up a bunch of stuff, so I've been busy like consistently almost every weekend for the last few months. And the couple times I did have off, I took that time to myself. But I'm back in the mode of booking, and I do want to go back down and try to get on at least their open mic and maybe try to get on something real. I don't know.
Have you seen the lines of like the open mics? Like you said, every comedian in like the nation.
I went
just, like,
once, and I didn't tell any of my friends that worked there that I was going, as I was already down in Austin from like Wednesday or Thursday of that week because their open mics on Sunday and they have one on Monday. But I went down there like on a Wednesday, did shows Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. And then Sunday I stayed and was going to drive back after, and I signed up for the Mothership. But the line was down the block, man. So my friend was like, "Why didn't you tell me you were here? I could have put you on." And I was like, I don't know, man. I just kind of wanted to see if I could just get on or whatever. And he goes, "I didn't even see your name." He goes, "The list is so long, we couldn't get down there." But he's like, "Just let me know." So I mean, I don't know. I'll try to do that. I just want to see if I can get on. You know, I feel bad bumping people or cutting people, but that's the business. Yeah. So I'll definitely let them know next time.
Do you still do open mics? Do you still?
Yeah, I don't do as many as I used to. I feel like I've gotten pretty good at my writing to where I know like what my style is and who I am, and I'm starting to figure out like my voice on stage, but and I know how I want to be perceived and how I want to do things. So I mean, I try out material on my podcast. I'll do an open mic here and there. I consistently usually get enough shows to where I'm doing 10 plus minutes, 20 minutes, and I'll throw new stuff in there. I won't always just do the rehearsed thing unless if I'm working on something or building for something. I try to throw at least 1 or 2 new ones in there. I mean, I threw a new one in last night. I started with a brand new one, which is a comedy no-no. Usually want to do them in the middle. But
that's so
I like
funny.
to
Just coming in and like shooting a 3.
Yeah,
literally.
I walked up
or
on
not even 3. It's like half court.
Dude, yeah, I just chunking it. I literally walked up and I was like, "Oh, give it up." Everybody clapped and I was like, "My dad was an addict," and I was like, Sorry. I was like, I know we're having fun here, but growing up was hard. My dad was an addict. He's 78 years old today, and he's been sober 0 days. He's still an addict, which is bad because he has the worst addiction. My dad's addicted to calling me a gay pussy. And I got a big laugh, and I was like, all right. Because sometimes I get a hair up my ass, and I'm like, if I believe in something, I'm like, fuck it, I'm going to do it. Let's just see what happens. What's the worst going to happen? They're not going to laugh, and they'll laugh at the next one, whatever.
Yeah. You said you managed rappers at one point?
Yeah, nobody big or anything. One of them still raps. The other one found Jesus up his baby's mama's butt. But we got to open. I got to meet some really cool people. I have a story I do on stage. I'm still working on it, but I've been doing it for a while. About when I met DMX.
Oh wow, that's pretty cool.
Bone Thugs and Harmony, Juicy J, a lot of people like that. You know, we opened for them. But yeah, it's just something I just fell into. I didn't go out looking for that. It just kind of fell in my lap.
Do you think that so the studio we're in, they interview a lot of local like rappers and artists, and I've been kind of how I actually came across Caesar and the Renaissance podcast is because we go to our mutual friends. He's a up and coming artist, so we met at a show, and I've been meeting a lot of up and coming artists, and a lot of artists have a lot of ego. Like, do you see any like similarities or differences between artists and rappers when it comes to their ego versus like comedians?
No, I mean, I know plenty of comedians have run across plenty of bigger comedians that definitely have that ego. They're dick to the staff that works there. Every comedy club I go to, I try to be cool with the staff and make friends, and I'll party with these people after the shows. For a few reasons. One, I've had that job. I know it fucking sucks. They're just people like me, It's that bartender, wait tables, or work the door, or whatever. And two, on the business side, when these clubs are thinking about bringing back another comic that's not a headliner, doesn't have a contract, or it's like me, it's like the middle act, or even sometimes the host, they'll ask the staff, like, how was this guy? What'd you guys think? Because they're in the room and out of the room, and they see how you act. And, I mean, why be a dick? They're just people. A lot of times, people will be like, oh, hell yeah, I'm going to tell them we want you to come back as soon as possible or whatever. And, I mean, it helps you out a lot. Plus, there's no point in being a dick to these people. I mean, a lot of clubs that charge the comics drinks, a lot of times when I go, they give me free shit because I party with these people and they're my friends, and they're like, we don't want to charge you $14 for a tequila soda. We're just take it, dude. And I take care of them. I try to tip and make sure and take care of everybody. But I've met a lot of these bigger comics that are dicks. And like I said earlier, a lot of the nicest ones are usually the funniest ones. And that goes both ways. A lot of the funniest ones are usually the nicest ones.
What about with artists? Did you think that a lot of artists that were actually like good at music?
Oh, dude, I know so many local artists who ain't shit.
That's what
I'm
saying,
have the
bro.
biggest fucking piece of
That's
shit.
That's what
ego.
I'm saying.
Dude, I know comedians that are on my level or even a little under me that got like a one night at the Improv where they get to, like, their name's on the marquee and it's like so-and-so and friends, and they act like they're a headliner. It's like, well, you're only doing 20 to 30 minutes. Okay, headliner does 45 plus. This is Tuesday or Wednesday. Calm the fuck down. I had one guy, this black comic, wouldn't let me go in the green room. He said black comics only. And I was like, all right, well, he's like, no white people. I was like, well, I'm Mexican, so but I'm going to go in the green room. Fuck you. And he's like, I'm headlining. I was like, dude, you're doing 20 minutes tonight, and it's Tuesday. All right, fuck off. So I was like, whatever. I went out in the back, and I was smoking. I smoked a joint, and I was having a cigarette. And he comes out there, and me and my friend are out there. He goes, you need to stay out of the green room. I'm here, blah, 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 and I'm headlining. And I was like, bro, I'm outside. Fuck off. You don't own this. He goes, when I'm here, this is the green room. I literally opened the back door of the club and shoved him in and closed the door. And I was like, I'm going to punch this dude right now. And I'm like, we're at the same, we get the same kind of gigs. And a lot of times you're the host when I'm the middle act, and not saying like anyone's better, but that's the one that gets paid a little more and does more time and doesn't have to be clean. And it's like, know your place, dude. Like, know your role. Like, why have this ego? That dude same night got stumped on stage because somebody heckled him and he had no comeback. And I watched his face like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Like, that's a headliner right there.
Yeah. That's funny, man. The egos that come into play with like up and coming like people.
Yeah.
And it's almost worse when someone has made it and they have that ego, but it's more like I guess it's like, I don't want to say acceptable, but it's like, okay, at least you've earned your ego. But
I fight my ego all the time. I mean, everybody's got one.
Yeah,
Whether you say you do
yeah.
or don't. If you say you don't, you're a fucking liar. But I mean, I fight it. I don't like go around saying shit. Like, I might get drunk sometimes and fuck with people, just joking around. But I don't want to have that kind of ego, because I feel like it's just setting you up for failure later. It's setting you up to embarrass yourself later, because you're going to say something, and then in my experience, anytime I've said like, oh, I believe in this or I believe in that, something in the world has come along to make me change my mind or see it differently. And I think when you have that ego and you say stupid shit like that, you're just setting yourself up for embarrassment later on.
yeah, man, that's crazy.
It's like saying God will never smite me and then getting smited by God. It's so dumb. I've seen it happen a million times.
And then it's like usually when people are like that, they go on stage and then they just eat a bunch of shit.
I've seen people go on stage with their ego and like say, and I've even went on stage and said something cocky. That's why I don't drink anymore before I go up. I do it after my set. And I've watched the crowd like instantly turn against that person on a hot crowd that was a good show. I've seen the crowd just turn on that person, and it's like, what'd you do that for? That's not even the point of being here.
Yeah.
I think you're great. If you're great, you'd be selling out stadiums right now, motherfucker.
Yeah. Man, I've seen people at like some of those Thursday night shows, and it's just like you said, Dallas is a tough crowd, and it's just you can see them sweat.
Yeah, dude.
You can see some people sweat.
I'll start sweating, and I'll even tell the crowd, I'm like, you're fucking making me sweat for you right now, motherfuckers. Like, why are you here? What are you doing? What is going on?
Man, there was
and usually I can get them. I have a few. I call them parachute jokes or whatever. Like you probably see me do it if like the one side of the room was doing this, but I'll be like, oh, okay, you guys didn't like that joke. Let's switch it up. You guys like impressions? And they'll be like, yeah. They always say, yeah. No matter what they say, I'll be like, all right, cool. I want everybody in the room right now to do an impression of a good crowd that likes my act tonight. How about that? And usually like stuff like that, or I'll be like, oh, I went to a funeral recently. I'm just trying to match y'all's energy right now. I'll fuck with the crowd. Usually that'll get them like going again.
Yeah.
But sometimes there's nothing you can do. That crowd's just like either the person before you ruined it, or that crowd is just one of those crowds where they ain't gonna be got.
Yeah.
It happens.
Yeah.
Not so much for me, but
yeah.
You know.
There was Ralph Barbosa?
I know Ralph.
Yeah. So it was just like years ago when he was a Thursday night act. And then I saw him a couple times. Then later on, he was like building momentum. I remember the first time I saw him, I was like, "This dude's gonna be big." It was just like I felt like I don't know.
Ralph's just got a great cadence. Ralph is hilarious, and he's one of the only comics in the scene that I don't think I've ever talked shit about. I like Ralph. I think he's funny. He works hard. He started a year or so after me, a year or two. And I remember talking to him, and I mean, I still talk to Ralph every now and again. We're not like best friends. We don't like text all the time. He's a sneakerhead too. Sometimes we'll talk sneaker shit, and I'll make fun of his shoe size. But other than that, yeah, I think Ralph is funny. I think he's fucking killing it right now.
He's killing it.
Just did Joe Rogan. He's on top of the world right now, man. Hold that shit together, bro.
Bro, I remember like seeing him on a Thursday night show, like a free show. And,
dude, I remember doing shows with him in a basement to 11 people.
It's
in
Denton,
Texas.
Man.
We're doing like two shows a night in a fucking the basement of a pizza place, like downstairs where they do like punk rock shows. It's like Saturday night, and there's like 13 people at the first show, like 8 at the second show. And we're just doing the thing, man.
That's crazy. It's crazy to see the trajectory and like how quickly, man.
And that's one of the ones that I was telling you. You can't compare yourself or your timeline to someone else's path or timeline because it's all different. I mean, he's on top of the world right now. I mean, I think the thing, just in my opinion, the thing that set him off was he got the HBO Latino Fest that they did.
I
was on that audition with him, and like we all knew they wanted Ralph. I knew the guy that cast everybody and that asked me to come do the audition. I knew he wanted Ralph, and even in the middle of my set, I was like, "What are we doing here? This is weird. We know you want Ralph. Just take Ralph. It's 4:30 in the afternoon. There's no crowd here. We're doing comedy for other comedians, just waiting on their turn to go up." And I'm like, this is painful, bro. We know y'all want Ralph. Just take Ralph and get the fuck out of here. Yeah. Let's go.
Man, I saw him a couple times. And then one of the times I saw him, he wasn't like the headliner. He was like the middle. And then someone went on. I think he was actually the first. And this is like, he was the first. And then someone went on. The middle went on. And Ralph killed it. And then the middle guy comes on. And he's just like eating a plate of shit.
Sometimes,
eating a plate of shit. And he wasn't that bad, I think, but it mentally got him.
Yeah.
And
see, the thing is, like, I don't care. I'll go up after someone who bombs, murders, whatever. When you go up there, you got to own it, and it's your energy. And, yeah, going up after somebody that kills sometimes can be a little harder. But, I mean, like, something I heard Joey Diaz say on his podcast, you go up there and you do your fucking best closer first. Fuck it. Hit them with everything you got and get them on your side. Reset that pace to your pace.
Yeah.
And you do what you got to do, which is hard because sometimes you can't top that one you just did, but fuck it, they're on your side now.
Yeah. I forgot what his name was, but he was struggling, sweating, and then he just goes, I shouldn't have went on after Ralph. And he was like, once he acknowledged it, he started doing a lot better.
Yeah.
And it was just so interesting to see, like, he was just like eating a plate of shit, acknowledged it, and then the crowd was like, hey man, we're with you. And the crowd kind of was like, you know.
Yeah. You had to reset him and let him know, like, hey, I'm kind of funny too. Not as funny as that guy, but like, give me a break.
Yeah. Cool, man.
I have some guesses of who that might have been.
All right, cool. Last thing I kind of want to just touch on, man, is whenever I was at your first show, I remember talking to you, and I was like, "Hey, man, I want to be a comic, blah blah." And it was just you just gave me some words of encouragement. It was kind of funny. And I saw you again, and you're like, "Man, you got to do it." I think we like ran into you in the bathroom or something. And
I've had some of those awkward bathroom conversations.
I know, right?
Off stage.
Yeah.
I've had people try to talk to me. I'm like, let me put my dick away and then we'll talk.
And I went and signed up for an open mic like last year or something.
Which
and
one did you do?
It was like Wednesdays at Hyenas.
Okay.
And I went there like super early. Like I was like, I want to be, I had my whole
spent 2
bit
years
left.
doing that, man.
And
show up at fucking 5:30, go
literally
on at 1:45 a.m.
Okay. So I went. I was like, I'm be the second one on. And I was like, okay. I thought
that's just
I
a
thought it
sign
went.
up.
That's
just
I
the
didn't
sign
know.
up, dude.
And I just sat there the whole night, and they like didn't even call my name, and I just left. And that's it.
Yeah. Dude, when I started, I spent many nights doing that. They'd have me host the last 3 blocks when I got into it, but there were nights where I would have to tell them, like, we'd have so many comics, people wanting to sign up for the mic, that it'd be 2 a.m. and I have to go on stage and tell like 30 people, like, sorry, we're closed. We legally can't do it anymore. Come back next week. We'll put you up early. I don't think we ever did, but that's comedy, man.
That's comedy, man.
You got to earn those earlier spots.
Yeah.
Dude.
Cool, man. Well, I appreciate your time, man. Mikey B,
Yeah.
the comic. Anything
Thank
you want to
you.
promote?
You guys check out my pages at Mikey B the Comic, Instagram, TikTok, all that, or my podcast, the Open Mic Podcast, MIKE. You can search that name on any platform. I'm all on there, so check it out. I do have some shows coming up. I'll post about them, but check out my Instagram and much love. Thank you guys.
Cool. Appreciate you, man.
Oh yeah, thanks, dude.